Hi! There will be no cat puns in this video. That's lazy, and I'm all about making high effort, high banging my head on the desk content. Welcome to A Lesson in Yuumi, the support that everyone hates. I wish this was an exaggeration, but when you hover Yuumi, your ADC has about a 60% chance to politely but firmly ask you to switch to something brainless that can just spoon feed them kills without them taking any effort. Don't you worry though. Your enemies will hate you just as much, because introducing any new mechanics to champions in League of Legends is despicable and inconceivable to the simple mind of Silver. So this time we're switching it up, and for the sake of clarity, I'll explain Yuumi's W before everything else. She selects a teammate and uses them like an Uber. After a teeny tiny cast time, she attaches to a nearby ally in the range, becoming untargetable until she decides to detach or her taxi dies. If you go from ground to an ally, you get a cooldown that eventually goes down to 0, but the cooldown only stops you from getting onto allies from ground. You can always detach or jump between allies free of cooldown. Oh god, I'm barely halfway done. When sitting on someone, your warmth increases your and your chair's adaptive force. Getting hit with any attention, CC, from the enemy will give you stage fright, making you too nervous to jump to anyone for the next 5 seconds. Because you'll be attached for the majority of the game, you don't need flash or boots. I think that's it? I never really realized how complicated this ability is, wow. Yuumi also follows ally recalls, but not summoner teleports. Okay, so when you're in lane, you want to stay on your ADC to let them last hit easier and to be safer. There of course are moments where you have to jump off, but about that later. The cast time makes it difficult to use it to escape fast-moving projectiles like Blitzcrank's Q, but for slower ones like Morgana's Q, you just need to have reaction time faster than I can think of an analogy. In teamfights, it's very dangerous to jump off or between allies, so make sure the enemy doesn't have any fast CC ready on hand and make sure you're in safe spots. If you get as much as tickled by a displacement, well, good luck living. Yuumi's passive periodically empowers her next basic attack. The empowered attack is instant, returns some mana to Yuumi and gives her a permanent shield. This shield doesn't stack, and if you're attached to someone, they get the shield for the time being instead. It's a very simple ability that encourages the players to get off their moving flaming chair and to put themselves in danger. A good detach will make the enemy slightly annoyed and will help your mana pool, while a bad detach will give the enemy bot lane a free Chinese dinner. Is that racist? I don't know. In lane, try to proc your passive when the enemy CC is on cooldown or where you've got minions in front of you. In teamfights, however, it's crucial to track enemy CC and damaging abilities to see when you can quickly jump on the ground to proc your passive without staying there for the next 40 seconds. Perfecting the use of this passive divides the good from the bad, because while a bad Yuumi will just stay on the most fed champion on the team and occasionally type "well" in chat, a good Yuumi will make it seem like she's on 3 teammates at once, proccing her passive and driving the kids to school all at the same time. Yuumi sends a yellow projectile in a straight line, slightly damaging enemies for a bit of magic damage that makes Sona's Q look like a goddamn nuclear blast. If it has travel for at least 1 second, it gets empowered, dealing some additional max HP damage and chipping at the enemy's ankles. It just sucks. Until you get attached to someone, that is. Then it doesn't suck. You can control its trajectory for up to 2 seconds, meaning that the enemy will have to think hard to dodge it. It has a range that's fixed on Yuumi, so getting closer will increase its effective range and let you hit enemies running away. Situationally, you can cast it and then jump to an ally to extend the range. Use this ability as poke in lane to proc your presence of mind or throw it out during fights to contribute some damage. When you're detached and an enemy is low and trying to fight you, a quick combo of auto attack Q auto attack with Airy can be surprisingly powerful. I normally don't give tips for other champions on this show, but for the love of god, when Yuumi is casting her Q, don't start running away like you've suddenly switched your ideology to pacifism. Walk forward so her Q can actually hit someone. Yuumi's E makes her spin around, healing herself a bit and gaining some temporary attack speed and movement speed. When you're attached to someone, all of these effects are instead thrown at them. Maybe not the spinning part. Its mana cost scales with your max mana, so building mana regen is way more valuable than just plain mana. That's 4 manas in one sentence. It's your bread and butter healing and utility, and there's not much decision making involved. Only thing would be deciding whether it would be worth the mana to heal up your worthless ADC in lane, and deciding who you should save or empower in teamfights. Uwu? Yuumi's ult, Final Chapter, is an okay catching tool, I guess. Yuumi opens her book and sends out 7 waves of magic, applying stacks on enemy champions and dealing magic damage, reduced on subsequent hits. If an enemy is hit 3 times, they are rooted for 1.75 seconds. During the channel, you can attach between allies, speed them up to get them in position, or just detach to reposition yourself. You can't change the direction you fire after you start the channel, so try to predict your enemy's movement so a quick flash won't save them. For example, here I completely whiffed my ult, because if Draven tried to go closer to the wall, he would just die, so I could have aimed it this way instead, getting him no matter if he flashed or not. When used correctly, this is one of the strongest teamfight abilities in the game, but when you cast it without a second thought, well, let's just say that chapter will be your final one. Uwu? Yuumi... Wait. Oh god, it spread to me too. 4 games of Yuumi were enough. Will this mean that I'll keep saying Uwu in random places? Completely unprompted? How long does it last? Actually, I'm fine with that. I can live with that. Uwu? Yuumi is victim to the simple champion fallacy. Just like it is with champions like Tryndamere, people think she's very simple, takes no skill, is brain dead, shouldn't play this champion, should uninstall the game, and how dare you beat me with a champion I don't like! Well, in fact, she takes a ton of quick thinking and decision making. Should you stay on your ADC, or get off them and support them with damage from your basic attacks? Should you risk getting hit by CC to jump to another ally, or stay safer and risk them dying? What Yuumi lacks in mechanical skill expression, she makes up for in requiring their player to use their brain wisely. When used correctly, Yuumi might be the strongest enchanter in the game. She provides every single type of support you could need, that being soft CC, hard CC, emotional support, a movement speed buff, an attack speed buff, an adaptive force buff, a heal, a shield, but most of these tools do require some thought or preparation. Yuumi's runes are a fairly simple concept. Summon Airy because it increases the poke from your Q and passive procs, and the shield is also applied whenever one of these happens. Mana Flow Band because while the bonus mana might not be the most efficient with Yuumi's E cost, the passive regen when fully stacked will sure as hell be useful. Transcendence will let you steal kills, support your teammates more often, especially with the kill participation you'll get from teamfights once you use these bad boys. Scorch empowers your Q poke in lane, and that's it, thank you. For secondary runes, get Presence of Mind so you don't run out of mana as soon as you cast E once in lane. Cut Down is a pretty cool option because with the teeny tiny HP pool Yuumi gets, she'll get the damage bonus against almost everyone. Malphite, more HP than you. Katarina, more HP than you. Lux, more HP than you. Blastflower, probably still more HP than you. Items. In a majority of the situations, on your first back you want to get Bangladesh Mirror and build it into Moonstone Renewer. Then build accordingly to your and enemy team like any enchanter would. Ardent works well with your ease attack speed and you can apply it to your whole team with Redemption. Staff of Flying Water is always cool for an AP mid laner on your team, and if you're snowballing particularly hard, get a Dark Seal and upgrade it into Magi's. Michael's Blessing if they have a big or easy to hit CC they want to use on your carries. In conclusion, when you pick Yuumi, pray that your ADC isn't a special privileged child, because as soon as you steal one kill, they'll go from ADC to ADC. Before we get into the clips, quick news, I made a Discord server if any one of you cares enough to join. I'll be dumping all my memes on there from now on so it doesn't die.
Tankowałem ci wieżę. O, dawaj, dawaj, biją, biją.
Nie! Tak.
Brakuje tylko Call Me a Good Kitten i...
Call me kitten daddy.
What the fuck?
Pa 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 para para pa pa para para pa uwu. Pa 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 pa.
Wczuł się w rolę.
I'm Yuumi and you're warm.
Myślę, że ten klet gra z Ignite'em.
Yuumi Gaming!
Czekaj.